Hey, welcome back to the podcast Game Changers. This is your host, Jeff Newkirk. Great to have you with me. This is my favorite episode of the entire year. And a couple reasons for that. Number one, we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, football. And number two, I have my most favorite football coach in the world on with me, Payton Newkirk. So, Payton, welcome to the podcast. And if anybody's wondering, yes, we are related. I'm his father. That's probably why he's my most favorite football coach in the whole world. But great to have you on. Last year, we talked football. It was fun. Thought we'd do it again. So, this is going to be at least an annual thing. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing this last year and what the plans are, because you have come a long ways in 1 year.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you letting me come on. But yeah, so I this past season I was coaching high school football in Cincinnati at Loveland High School under Andy Cruz, great head coach, and I had a
Former
lot of
Houston
fun.
Texan.
It was former Houston Texan. I had a lot of fun. I was blessed to be able to coach the head coach of the freshmen, and then I got to assist the varsity offense, and it was a lot of fun. I ended up moving here really a year ago, and kind of stuck it out. I was familiar with the program. I spent another a year prior there. It was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. And
And so let's just brag a little bit here. So before last year, the freshman team was what, 1-9 or something like that? They won one
yeah.
game.
So when they were in eighth, yep. So when they were in eighth grade, they were 1-7 or 1-8 or something like that.
And then
I
you
think they
took
tried to
those
tell me they were.
kids. And
Yeah.
what
So
was the
they
record
tried.
this year?
So this year they finished 7-3. They should have finished 8-2. We lost a terrible game towards the end of the season to go 7. But yeah, it was really cool to see them transform from a group of kids that didn't know how to win, and then our first game we ended up losing, and I think it was kind of a wake up call for them that they were like, we can actually compete and win. And so yeah, we ended up really going on a hot winning streak that was really highlighted by just an explosive offense from them and a great defense from them. And it was a lot of fun to really see them like come full circle and like believe in themselves. And then
That's
yeah,
awesome.
the varsity, yeah, it was really cool to see the progress that this program has taken since Andy's leadership. And we hosted our first playoff game in like 10 years this past year, and we did not come out on top, which sucked. But it was a lot of fun and a great experience
Awesome.
overall.
So what's in the future for you? What are you doing?
So Mike, obviously you know this, but your listeners, just so they understand, my goal has always kind of been to coach football at the highest level I can, and to me that means college football. Obviously, professional football, is the best that you can get, but college football is kind of where I think I would thrive and where I love it. So yeah, I'm getting the opportunity in a month to go way out northwest to Grand Forks, North Dakota, and I'm going to be a quality control coach, which is essentially like an offensive intern for the University of North Dakota, and I'm really excited about that. And I think it's kind of a testament to, if you work hard and sometimes things just kind of fall into your lap, and I always have, I guess, kind of believed in the statement that the harder you work, the lucky you get. And I guess I got pretty lucky. So I must have done a couple things right.
A lot of hard work there.
Getting to go help out.
I
Sure.
mean,
And getting to go help out at a successful FCS program.
yeah, they were ranked in the top 20 last year, University of North Dakota. So, I mean, those kinds of things just don't don't fall into one's lap. I mean, you have to go out and make it happen. And I talk about that a lot on the podcast. You have to go out and attack each day and make it the best you can. And one of the things that I'm, of course, as your father, I'm so proud, but anybody doing what you've done, it's a huge accomplishment. You set a goal, and you didn't sit back. You made it. You went out and made it happen. I mean, you did networking. You were at conferences. You just reached out to people who you didn't even know. And so here you are going to Grand Forks, North Dakota. Bundle up, man. It is chilly, chilly up
I
there.
know. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I know it.
So we wish you luck. It's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for you. But one of the things you touched on, and I think is so important, we talk about it all the time on the podcast, is leadership and developing the culture. And you touched on it when you said it was fun to see these kids learn how to win. Like they mentally got to the state where, like, wow, we're not losers. We can actually win. So how do you go about, from your experience that you've had, and it's just short term so far, but how important is the culture to make that that whole attitude change? What do you have to do?
Well, I think for this group, it really started with accountability and hard work, and like you could say that for really any organization or any team. But I think this group specifically, they didn't have a lot of directional leadership, and I think having somebody, this obviously, I'm very competitive, and to me, losing is not an option, and that sounds bad probably, but I don't. I told them, I was like, we're gonna find a way to win because I'm not gonna lose, um, and I think they bought into really what Loveland football is all about, and that hard work that they put in all summer and all off season leading up to August, and then all of a sudden when our scrimmage, we go play the second biggest school district in the state of Ohio in a scrimmage, and we blew them out. They kind of understood, like, oh wow, like we can go compete at a pretty high level, and it was really exciting to see their leadership and their hard work just come full circle.
Hmm.
And so just kind of a caveat to the culture of Loveland. Um, you know, there's a lot of stories that I've been told about when Coach Cruz took over, but it was not ideal. It was my understanding is he really struggled with a lot of discipline, and it was
Yeah.
a
A
team
you,
full of
you said a lack of discipline.
lack of discipline. Yeah, he had
Yeah.
problems with discipline, right? So
Mhm.
um, it's been really cool to see the transformation that he's instilled, and I think now we're seeing it on a scale that's it's trickling down to the middle school, and now
Mhm.
they're like, I was having some of the kids tell me they're getting texts and calls from kids in younger grades, like in the middle school and the junior high, that were like, how are you guys winning? Like, what is going on? And they were like, it's different up here. Like, that's just what it is. So
That's
it's been
awesome.
pretty cool to see. Yeah, for sure. So it's been pretty cool to see that. And I think another huge thing for especially this freshman group, and it was very prevalent in the varsity as well. When your best players are your best leaders, like you have a chance to win a lot of games, and you have a chance to do something special. And with both teams, that was that's what we had, and it's a blessing as a coach to have that, because that they're going to hold everybody accountable when you know what I say might hold some weight, but when their peer or their teammate says it holds way more water with them. So having that is such a recipe for success, and that's kind of, again, like, long-winded answer for you, but that's what we've seen over the last few years at this at Loveland, and it's pretty special.
Yeah. So the culture shift is really towards accountability, hard work. You see somebody, a teammate slacking. Hopefully, you've got some leaders on the team that will step in. But what are some of those key leadership attributes? I call them absolutes. It's the absolutes of leadership. But it's those qualities, those characteristics that you have to possess as a leader to be a strong and effective leader? From your perspective and what you've done so far, what are maybe two or three of those attributes?
So I'll take this, a little bit different direction. I'll answer your question, but kind of go a little bit different here. So I think when you talk about leadership, you see people that lead by example, and then you see people that lead vocally, and those are great. If you can do one of those, you're set up to be a good leader. But if you can combine them and do them both, I think that you have an opportunity to be a great leader. So it's funny, like, you hear lead by example or vocally lead or whatever. And I got made fun of a couple of times by one of our older coaches. He just retired, great guy. But he made fun of me because one practice, the freshmen were not behaving the way that they should at practice. And so I was like, all right, that's it. We're getting on the line and like, we're going to run. And he made fun of me because he's like, I look over and I see them running and then I see you running. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm not going to ask them to do something I'm not willing to do. And I think when you have that mentality as a leader, that I'm not going to ask people like that I'm leading to do things that I'm not going to do.
So
I think,
hold on just a second. So they were not performing or doing what they should have in practice. So as a result, you got them to do a little bit more conditioning, but you did the conditioning along with them.
yeah, I mean, it's a team. It's not,
That's huge.
they might not
That's a
be
huge
practicing
thing.
hard, but yeah,
I mean,
right.
I think the players see that and they're like, wow, holy crap, our coach is, he's doing it too. I mean, he's not just like in the ivory tower kind of thing. And I think that's true. And a good friend of mine calls it being a front lines guy. It's like the leader is going to get out on the front line with everybody else and lead with them, alongside, hand in hand, arm in arm. And I think that in itself, I want to really emphasize that point because I think that's huge. Now for you, it seems like, well, yeah, of course I was going to do that. But for most people, it's like, no, I'm just telling them to do that. Totally different mindset. Kudos to you for recognizing that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like, it's this isn't, you have leaders that, say this isn't a democracy. This is a dictatorship. Well, to me, it's okay. I get that, but it's also, this is a team. And if I'm the voice that they have to listen to, I'm also going to be the example. So, and that kind of comes from, I don't know if you ever watched The Last Dance, but the Bulls documentary, Michael Jordan, regardless of whether you think he's the GOAT or not, but he kind of closes this 10 series documentary with something that I thought was pretty powerful and goes to show what a competitor he was. But some teammates loved him, some teammates hated him, and that it just is what it is as a leader sometimes. But one of the things that he said was, one of his teammates will always be able to, I guess, say about him is, Michael Jordan never asked them to do something that he didn't effing do. And so when I saw that, I was like, I mean, if the GOAT can say that, or his teammates can say, yeah, like, it was hard, it was tough, he led us and he pushed us like harder than anybody ever. But guess what? Like, he's the one that was beating them in all the sprints. He's the one that was staying after. He's the one that was pushing them. Well, yeah, that's how you have a championship team, because the leader is dictating the pace of everybody else, and he's not asking anybody else to do something that he's not willing to do.
So you said you're going to take this a little bit of a different direction. Have at it.
Well, I just think, like I said, it's just, when you're talking about that leadership, it's when you can combine both being a vocal leader and being someone that leads by example. I think that that's a combination to be a really successful leader. So your question was, what are some attributes of being a successful leader? Well, I think it's, number one, if you don't care about the people that you're leading, like, it doesn't matter, because they'll know that. It's not
they have to know
kids,
you care. That's the old
exactly.
adage, right? Yeah.
Right. And you see a lot of times in athletics where teams that maybe should be successful aren't successful, and you kind of have to look. You got to look at the leaders. Okay, well, what's going on? Well,
Yeah.
if the players don't trust the coach and they don't believe that the coach cares about them, what incentivizes them to play hard?
Right.
So,
Right.
I
I
think that's
think
probably the biggest one.
that makes all the difference in the world. And the other thing that you said is hard work. And I've always gone by, don't let anybody outwork you. Right. I mean, if you want to be the best, if you want to do the very best that you can in your field, don't let anybody outwork you. Now, there could be smarter people, absolutely smarter people, more talented, more gifted in different ways, but don't let anyone try harder than you to make it happen.
Yeah.
And because if that's the case, it's not going to happen. It won't happen for you. You've got to put that mental focus to the test and every single day give it your absolute best and don't let anybody outwork you. So how would you describe then, from your experience, the perfect culture? So if you could design a culture for a team, what would be that absolute perfect culture?
Well, good question. So I think, when you talk about culture, that's just such like a word that's thrown around so much. But I think what really a culture is what the organization looks like, what it feels like, what it sounds like, and stuff like that. So I think you have to answer those questions when you think about culture. So one of the things that I know Dabo Sweeney does over at Clemson and is really cool to like is they have, and I guess it's now at Oklahoma because their DC left, but I think it's cool as I think it's a George Washington Carver quote, but it's something about doing the common things in an uncommon way,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
and
and
I've
then
heard
you'll
Dabo Sweeney
command the
say that.
attention of the world.
Hmm.
Sure, and
Yeah,
I think because like you're talking about hard work, and one of the cool things in athletics is the higher you get within athletics, um, the closer the competition gets. So like in junior high football, you could have a team that's like just loaded and beating everybody by 50 because they have better players. But when you
hmm
get to like the Power Five in college football, everybody has good players and everybody's
yeah,
working hard. So
right.
it's like that's the base. So I think focusing on doing the common things like in an uncommon manner, I think that goes as simple as when you run sprints, you better touch the line. If you're going up, how you do one thing is how you're going to do everything.
Hmm.
So I think focusing on doing those common things in an uncommon way is huge. And then one of the other things that uh, I think that we did a good job at Loveland um, is kind of just describing that if you're going to do anything in life, like you have to do it to go be the best. It's it doesn't matter what it is. Like if you're gonna go play driveway basketball, you're not gonna go play driveway basketball to lose or just like not make shots. Like you do something to go do the best. And so I think that one of the things again, kind of going, Urban Meyer at Ohio State, he had an incredible culture there. Whatever you feel about Urban Meyer, but he had an incredible culture at Ohio State.
He
And one of the
won.
things that they focus on, they did win. And one of the things they focus on is being above the line. And I think to me, that's you have to do everything in a manner to go be the best. And if you are slacking in that, then you're wasting everybody's time. And um, I think I really think that's kind of where it comes from. So I mean, I could go in, there's cultural blueprints, whatever, but I think ultimately it's those two things. Like if you have to do everything to be the best, and by to do that, you have to do all the small common things in an uncommon way. You have to focus on details that other people are just skipping over and doing. And
Yeah,
one of the really cool things, and I kind of alluded to this, but when you have your best players and they're living that out, you have a chance to be really, really successful. And I think
yeah,
you see that like LSU a couple years ago in 2019. they had their team, like Ed Ogeron, good leader, but their team, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin, all those guys, they completely led the team. And it like did not take no for an answer. They said, we're going to win a national championship, and we're going to make sure that everybody here is in the right mindset to go do it. Everybody needs to be on the bus. If you're not on the bus,
Right.
like, just stay there. We're going to go win a national championship.
Right. Right. I mean, that was one of the things that I found so fun to watch with the Houston Texans this year. CJ Stroud, I mean, he's a young guy. I mean, he just started in the NFL, but you could see his presence on the field and how that positively impacted his teammates. And then when you see him on the sidelines and he's not just sitting by himself, you know, head down, he's there talking to his offensive line. He's there talking to his receivers. It's a whole different environment. So if you were to see the Texans last year under Lovie Smith versus this year under
D'Amico.
thank you, D'Amico Ryans, and with CJ Stroud, it's a totally different environment. They're building a culture where there's potential to win. It's like the Lions, the Detroit Lions. I mean, last year, the last couple of years has been a building year, but that culture there, now it's like, wow, they know how to win. They're totally changing the belief system, and it's so much fun to see a team or a program that's been down and now they're successful. So as
Yeah,
you
I think
see, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think even to go off of your CJ Stroud point on the sidelines, I think the perfect example is in the AFC North. You have the Bengals, who obviously live in Cincinnati, so they're huge here. But you have Joe Burrow, who's a franchise quarterback, and he got injured and he had to have surgery, and so he was out for like 6 weeks or something like that. He was on the sideline with a headset on, an iPad, helping Jake Browning every single game the rest of the way. Like, I think he got injured. He had surgery on like a Wednesday. I don't know the dates or whatever. And he was on the sideline in a sling on Sunday in like freezing cold Pittsburgh or something like that. Sweatshirt on, but he has a
Helping his
headset
team.
on and he's trying to
Yeah.
help. And then you have in Cleveland, you have Mr. Deshaun Watson, who is an incredible player, and he was out for the year, and he just kicked back and was relaxing in LA. And it was so funny to see
He wasn't on the
the
sidelines with the
difference.
headset freezing his tail off, helping his team.
No, rehabbing in LA, kind of. It was just it's there's no prize that the Bengals are competing for the Super Bowls year in and year out because their leader isn't playing the rest of the year. He's still in the grind with everybody on the
He's still
sideline,
leading.
freezing his tail off, leading. Then the Browns, like, their leader, supposed to be leader, isn't even with the team.
Yeah.
And
well, we could probably talk about that for a while, but there's no surprise there. So as you look at some of the coaches, head coaches, coordinators, position coaches, either in the NFL or Division I college football, are there any out there that you think, man, I really would love to coach with that guy? I think I could learn a lot. He's, who would be like maybe two or three out there that you think that you would just really, really and learn a lot from and enjoy working with? And there's a lot out there.
well, I mean, obviously, yeah. So, well, these are all dream scenarios, obviously.
Of course,
but
yeah,
I think
yeah.
so. As far as like, to me, so I coach offensive on the offensive side of the ball. So to me, like, if I'm trying to learn offense, I think Kyle Shanahan's and Sean McVay really, but I would say Kyle Shanahan is the best offensive coach in the world. And
So Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers and Sean McVay with the LA Rams, okay? But why is that?
and I mean, he just embodies offense, and it's just so cool to see the ways that he manipulates things, the ways that he protects different things, and I mean, granted, he's playing with the Avengers, right? Because their roster is incredible. But even without when they didn't have Chris McCaffrey, they still like were in the top 10 in rushing. I mean,
Yeah.
so offensively, it's so cool to watch him and just sometimes you just see coaches and they're just in a zone and it's just
Mhm.
there's nothing that was going to happen to get them out of it. And it seems like he's in it every single week. And
Yeah.
obviously he was in the second half, against
Well,
Detroit. But
it's
I
fun to
think,
see him. I'm old enough to remember his dad, Mike Shanahan, who was coached the Broncos for a number of years, and so it's fun to
right.
see kid Kyle Shanahan doing so well.
Yeah. And then I would say the other piece for me is like the culture piece. And I think going, eh, Dan Campbell just epitomizes what it means to lead, what it means to create a
I love
culture,
that
what it
guy. I
means
love
to,
to hear him in an interview. He is so
yeah. So
straightforward. He is not mincing words. He's up in your face. I love that guy.
so he had, I forget the HBO Max show. I don't know I forget, whatever. They do like, it's like they just do a docu series on teams, and this year during the regular season it was like the Dolphins or something. But when Dan Campbell took over, it was the Lions, and so it's behind the scenes of their training camp and stuff like that. And he has a really famous like speech that he gave at training camp where he was like, he's just so passionate, and he's like, all I think about is you guys. Like, all I want to do is make you guys successful. Like, I love you guys, and like, you just have to trust me. Everything I do, every movement I make is for you guys. And so, like, to see that, and then 2 years, 3 years later, they were where they were. It's just so
Total,
cool to,
total culture shift. I mean, when you hear
yeah.
that from a
So like,
coach, like you want to put on your pads and run through a brick wall, right? I mean, like,
oh,
let's
for
go.
sure, yeah. And then I think the other one really, I've come to find that Dan Lanning is just an incredible coach. I think that
At Oregon,
he's he's just so passionate about leading and about winning and about um, organizing his team, and I think that's so cool. And like, I guess those three to me, I'm sure I could come up with a lot, but those three to me are like, that's who I would learn like the most
yeah.
from. So
So the one that's missing in that list that I thought for sure would be there is Dabo Sweeney. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
he's one of the most successful coaches. To me, he has put his core values far above just winning a football game. And it's like we're gonna stay true to who we are. We're gonna stay true to the program. If we win, it's going to be because we stayed true to our core values. And if we don't, well, then we're going to learn from it and we're still going to move forward. So I'm a big Dabo Sweeney fan. I know some people don't like him that much. I don't really know why, but he just seems like a straightforward, no nonsense guy trying to do the right thing.
yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think he has put himself in a little bit of a tougher situation because he is um like, the game of football doesn't change, but the way that it's orchestrated has changed a lot, and he
Amen to
has
that.
been very stubborn. He's been very stubborn in not adapting to how it's changing, and I think that's really hurt him and
Like the
Clemson.
transfer portal.
Um, yeah, and I mean, they're going to be successful because they have, a good coach, great coaching staff, and good players. But yeah, they've put themselves a little bit behind just because they're being stubborn and sticking to their ways, and I applaud them for that. But it also makes it really tough to be
Yeah.
successful in an environment that's completely changed.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. So now let's talk a little bit about always doing the right thing. And one of the teams that really came, or coaches specifically that came under high scrutiny was Jim Harbaugh at Michigan for the cheating scandal. He was actually suspended, right, for what, 5 games or something like that. What did you make of that? I mean, I'm not smart enough to know if there was actual cheating or are they the only ones? Did they do something different? But that was sort of a weird thing for me to see. One of best coaches, or at least recognized as one of the best coaches, ends up with the national championship, now leaves to go to coach the LA Chargers. I just was weird, but he was suspended. Like, if you're suspended, to me that says, okay, you did something wrong, and that's not good. We're gonna penalize you. But now the guy moves on to the NFL. I don't know. Just it all didn't add up to me. What do you think of that situation?
Well, I mean, I honestly think the reason that he probably went to the NFL is to avoid any suspension, like true. I mean, he got suspended because they didn't have enough evidence for anything. So I think he left college football because he won a national championship and like that was his goal. And then he was like, I'm just gonna step away because I'm not gonna deal with any of that stuff.
Hmm.
But I think like they did cheat. And
What
it
did they
kind of was
do?
kind of like
Tell
the
us.
Patriots.
Tell us what did they do? Because I don't think everybody understands exactly what they did that is, denoted as cheating.
So essentially what they did. So it's technically illegal to steal signs. So like a lot of teams, especially in college, because they don't have the microphones and stuff or the headsets and the quarterback's helmets, so they have to signal all the plays in, and it's common to steal signs. Like if you have a team that's not going to send film correctly and they're going to have their signals in their film, like you're going to steal their signs. So it's just
Yeah.
you, yeah. It's just I don't know. It's baseball. Like if a pitcher's going to basically tell you what he's about to throw, you're not going to close your eyes. Like you're gonna use that to your advantage. Well, what they did is kind of what the Astros did, and they used video and they illegally stole signs just like the Astros did. And what happened was they sent an assistant coach to tons of different games, and he was home and would steal signs. So like, there's a famous clip where they're
You
playing
like
Ohio State.
the assistant coach of sign stealing?
Yeah, and there's a clip where they're playing Ohio State, and so there's like a comment. A lot of places call it like a freeze tempo, where it's set, ready, set, go, and then there's no play call, so you just look over the sideline and get the signal. It's just kind of like keep the defense on their toes. Well, Ohio State did that, and Michigan's on defense, and so this assistant is between their defensive coordinator and Jim Harbaugh. Everybody on the Michigan sideline goes and looks at the Ohio State sideline. Once Ohio State gets their signal and CJ Stroud is about to go orchestrate the offense, Michigan, like their whole defense is staring at their sideline now, and they're telling them exactly what's going to happen, and that's pretty bad. So,
Yeah,
but
that's a little
I think,
obvious.
yeah, right. But I think they took it, obviously a little too far, just like the Astros did. But I think similar to the Astros, one of the cool things to see just as like kind of an outsiders. Like I don't have any skin in that game. Obviously, I'm not a Michigan fan. I don't hate Michigan, whatever. It was really cool to see. So talking to assistant coaches, I told them I was like, I think Michigan's going to win the national championship. Now our defensive coordinator here at Loveland, he's an alumni of Michigan. He played tight end at Michigan. He understands the rivalry with Ohio State, and so very passionate Michigan fan,
Okay,
obviously. And
let's
so,
give him a plug.
you
What's his name?
AJ Williams, and
AJ Williams. Okay.
played at Michigan, played a little bit for the Patriots, but he is very passionate. He's all excited that I said Michigan's winning the Natty, and this is like halfway through the year. And to me, what solidified that for me was when they played Ohio State and Jim Harbaugh wasn't there. They
Yeah.
dominated as
Yeah.
like as a unit, not like they had three players that were everybody. It was like all the shirts, Michigan versus the world stuff. And to me, like when things start to go wrong, it kind of shows the culture and the leadership, because a lot of times when things like this happen, you see people start to jump ship. So like in college football, like kids that start to enter the portal or like just step away and do all
Yeah.
this stuff. They
Right.
didn't have any of that. And for their coordinator, who is now their head coach, he
Great move,
his
by the way.
post game.
I love that
Oh,
move.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. And so for him post game to be like teary eyed and just so
Yeah.
passionate about the program. I was like, national championship, like they're not going to lose
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're the culture's too good, and they might have cheated. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's too much talent, and they care too much about it to.
And what it told me was that whether Jim Harbaugh is there the rest of the year or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Exactly.
matter. Those players are there. They're not there for Jim Harbaugh. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's probably a good coach and has done a great job and has developed relationships and built a program, but it's not about him, right? I mean, they were there playing for the other coaches and for themselves and for the program. And yeah, that was I was a Michigan fan that day because I just thought, wow, they've done a great job. That guy, that coach has done a great job with stepping in. I mean, and he was being scrutinized, right? I mean, everybody was looking at every single decision he made, every single thing that he did on the sideline. Everybody was evaluating. What's he going to do? Is he going to do bad? Are they going to lose? I mean, it was tons of pressure for that guy, and then he stepped up, did a great job, and so yeah, kudos to him. So
Yeah,
now
and
as we,
the funny part about Michigan winning the national championship is still being in Cincinnati. There's so many Ohio State fans here, and so AJ obviously has all of his old jerseys and all of his old stuff from Michigan. So he made a lot of bets with people within the high school.
did he wear his
And
Michigan stuff
after,
to school?
people made bets with him. He made everybody else wear his Michigan stuff, and it was very funny
Oh,
seeing all of these Ohio State fans having to wear
awesome.
like his old jerseys and stuff. But
That's awesome. That's what makes it fun, right? So, all
yeah,
right, now let's get a little bit more detail into the play. So, play calling. Dan Campbell. We talked about the Detroit Lions and what he's done, built the culture, but man, is he taking a lot of heat for a couple of the decisions made in the conference championship game. Do you think that's fair, or do you think it's unfair that he's taking so much criticism?
I to Chris.
Oh, your sound is going out a little bit there.
Okay, well, can I just something?
I'm gonna have to pause.
So just kind of to go into the whole Dan Campbell thing, I think as a fan, it's really easy to criticize coaches because you have the perfect play call from your couch. That happens all the time. That's why you have so many high school coaches that
Called
get
being an
upset
armchair
when,
quarterback.
yeah, I mean, you have high school coaches that get upset or whatever because parents are screaming from the stands, why did you run it? Well, yeah, obviously now looking back, that was a dumb thing to do, but like, I'm sorry, I forgot you had the perfect play call in the stands type of deal. So I think, one of the things that people get criticized for or praised for is being aggressive. So it happened to Dan Lanning at Oregon in the Pac-12 championship where he went for it a couple of times and maybe they should have kicked a field goal. But when you have when you set the standard of being aggressive, you cannot pick and choose when you're going to be aggressive. So I don't penalize Dan Campbell at all because he's an aggressive coach. So for him, it's a no-brainer. They're going to go for it every single time within 3 yards on fourth down, depending on where they are in the field. And obviously you look back and you're like, well, you left 6 points on the board. Okay, well, in the 19 other games, they're doing the exact same thing. And
Hmm.
you can't turn off your aggressive play calling or mentality based on this, the height of the situation. And yeah, like he's gonna get scrutinized for it. I don't disagree with it because I think his team understands that. I think it's for him. It's like I believe in you guys. Like let's go get it done. Let's just go get
Yeah,
three
I,
yards.
I think the
And
team was all for it.
yeah, and that's I mean when you have an aggressive, it's the tough thing is when you have a play caller that's in between because then it's like, are we about to go for it? Are we not going to go for it? Where with him it was like, well, it's three. We're not even looking at the sideline because the field goal unit's not coming on because we're going to just go for it.
Yeah.
And it didn't go in their direction. So the tough thing is like, it didn't go in their direction. So people think he's dumb for it. If it went in their direction, he's a genius and like the best coach there is. So that's just, I don't know. That's just the risk you run.
Yeah. I saw the headline after that game that read, what's Dan Campbell's future with the Lions? And I thought, are you kidding me? Guys like changed he and the ownership group have completely changed the culture in Detroit. And to question his future is asinine. I mean, that makes no sense to me. I think, look out for the Lions next year because I think they're going to be on top of the NFC North for years to come, as long as he's there, as long as the players stay healthy. No?
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, who else is going to step in? And I'm a Bears
Green
fan.
Bay.
I'm still to this day a Bear. Oh, you just shot me in the heart, man. Just shot me in the heart.
But
why? Why?
Well, the thing is that, like,
you absolutely killed me.
So when you're talking about professionals, or really, no, professional sports more, you talk about like your window to go do something special.
Yeah, this is their window.
Detroit's window was this year because Green Bay, it was a learning year for them. It was, is this our quarterback? Yes, it is, because he's dominant. The Bears, they sucked. So it was like, we don't have to worry about them. The Vikings, that's a very competitive team. Their starting quarterback got injured. They're out. So for Detroit, it was like, we have to win it this year. And they did. And now it's like, Green Bay has another bad man up there. So.
All right. Well, so Packers perhaps ahead of the Lions next year. That would be tough as a lifelong Bears fan. And somebody asked me the other day, you don't even live in Chicago anymore. Why are you a Bears fan? I don't know why.
Can't turn it off.
I still live in 1985. I mean, I still look to make sure Mongo, Steve McMichael is still doing well. I mean, poor guy's dying of ALS disease, but he was part of the 85 defense. And, I can sing the Super Bowl shuffle and tell you the starting lineup on both sides of the ball, which is probably pathetic, but I'll, taking it to my grave. Bears fan forever. All right.
Yeah,
So now the Super Bowl coming up. What's the call? We got Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, and the crew going up against Kyle Shanahan, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy. What do you think? In Las Vegas, which is kind of weird to me. It's in Las Vegas, but.
So it pains me, but I believe the Chiefs will probably come out on top because.
Oh, why does it pain you? Why is that painful? I mean, Patrick Mahomes, you actually had a chance to talk to that guy one time. I mean, so he's a decent human being.
I don't dislike Patrick. Hey, I like him. I root for him. I'm sick and tired. And everybody's like, whoa, she was only on the screen for 30 seconds. Okay, that's
you're not a Swiftie. You're not a Swiftie.
I'm not a Swiftie. I am. I am. Travis Kelce is embodying the villain character right now, and it is bothering me, and it is giving me flashbacks of Brady and Gronk, and I just can't do it.
That's painful.
I gotta. How can you not root for Mr. Irrelevant to come out on top against somebody that's going to compete for being the greatest quarterback of all time? And I do think Mahomes will prevail because that's just what happens. And Taylor Swift will be on the screen after they win in the confetti, and I'm not looking forward to it, but
we'll see. You never know. But you think you want the 49ers to come out on top, but you believe the Chiefs ultimately will. But I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. There's two competitive teams. I don't see a blowout Super Bowl. I see it as coming down to maybe the last 5 minutes, a couple series. I mean, I just see think it's going to be pretty close, and it might even come down to a field goal kicker. And I think, isn't the 49ers field goal kicker, I can't remember his name. He has been
Moody,
spot on this year.
also a
With,
rookie.
yeah, well, so a lot of pressure. So what you're saying is he's going to get on the field and he's going to feel the pressure.
Well, you have a kicker on the other sideline that's done it for 10 years. So
Yeah. So he might be reliving the Buffalo nightmare wide right.
oh yeah, probably. I mean,
Hate to say it, but
yeah.
that's a Buffalo nightmare wide right.
No, I know. I just think, well, I can tell you about nightmare field goals. Trust me, double doink. Are you kidding me? But I think, no, I just think it's cool to see like arguably the two best coaches in the NFL going at it in the Super Bowl. I just think that, I mean, the X factor is having the greatest quarterback in the league, and Brock Purdy's
Yeah.
good, and I really want to, I root for him, whatever. But it's, I just think it's Mahomes and
All right.
everybody else.
All right. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Good enough. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been great conversation. You're my most favorite football coach of all time, always will be. And I really appreciate you coming on every year to talk about football. Hopefully, we'll be doing this for years to come. So, how do people learn about Loveland and the high school there? Because they've been so successful, and maybe people want to hear about North Dakota or learn more about the University of North Dakota. How is there a website for the Loveland Tigers, and is there a website for the University of North Dakota?
Yeah, I mean, uh, I'm not the one to ask about all that social media stuff, but
Okay,
yeah, you can follow all that stuff on Twitter, and they all both have websites. You know, Loveland Tigers probably athletics or something like that. But
Loveland Tigers
yeah, it's cool.
Athletics.edu.
You can see you can follow that stuff on the Ohio High School Sports Association, and
Because they're a competitive
you
team,
know,
fun to watch, and I think Coach Cruz is
mhm.
going to do a great job in the next few years for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. So
And is it the Hawks, Fighting Hawks, up at the University of North Dakota?
he, it is, yes, and
Yeah,
um,
little
so
controversy
they'll
because
be
they used to
in.
be called the Fighting Sioux, but now they're the Fighting Hawks.
Yeah, well, you got
University
to
of
change
North
with the
Dakota.
times.
University of North
Yeah.
Dakota. Well, we're excited for you. Look forward to all the good things that you're going to bring to the University of North Dakota and beyond. So, Payton, again, thanks for being on the podcast. It's been a great conversation. And to everybody out there, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you and so grateful for you listening to Game Changers. I know today was a great day. I know tomorrow is going to be even better. Peace, everyone.